Good evening and welcome to TVC News at 10, the edition which features our Sunday specials. Nigerians, especially Lagos residents, may not experience long queues at petrol stations in a long time. This is because the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has begun the loading of premium motor spirit at the Dangote refinery in Lagos to ensure availability of the product. The loading began at about 1:30 p.m. Nigerian time, starting with 10 trucks at the refinery loading gantry 4. Vice President of Dangote Refinery and Industries, Devakuma Edwin, while monitoring the lifting of the PMS, said the refinery has the capability to load several trucks at once. Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, and the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zacchaeus Adedeji, have visited the refinery to see things for themselves. Mr. Wale Edun, while addressing journalists, commended Aliko Dangote for the vision and reinstates the federal government's commitment to supporting the refinery to boost export and foreign exchange and enhance PMS availability in the country.
After 52 years, now we have a solution. And the solution is local production of PMS, and it is from a Nigerian-owned company. And as a EPC contractor, it was constructed by a Nigerian company. So it's a matter of great pride that a Nigerian-owned company, constructed by a Nigerian-owned company, is able to generate PMS from the local crude and deliver not only to meet the entire requirements of Nigeria, but we can also have surplus to export. So it's a time and a moment of great pride for every Nigerian.
Today, we have taken an important step, a key step towards energy self-sufficiency in Nigeria. We have taken an important step to energy security in Nigeria, not to talk of self-reliance and implementation of the government's policy of domestic investment or investment in domestic production. It is the vision, Mr. President, that no raw materials should leave the shores of Nigeria without some value being added.
Minister of Economy Wale Edun speaking there. Well, with this new development, will Nigerians pay less to have the product? Well, to help us make sense of it all, let's speak to a public affairs analyst, Ahmed Akombi. Good to have you on the news at this time. So yes, first off now, according to the NNPC, it bought the petrol from Dangote at 898 naira per litre. Well, some would argue that what is the difference and benefits of this development if the price is still expensive at about 800 naira and above per litre?
Well, it's true. Good evening. Good evening. Good to be here as well. It's. I think it's too early in the day to be able to determine what effect it will have on end users of petrol, that is, those buying from petrol stations in Nigeria. I say this because, like you rightly pointed out, Dangote has bought, the NNPC has bought PMS from Dangote today at 898 naira. Presently, the pump price at NNPC filling stations is about 897 naira. So that's a negative difference of -1. You can imagine that if NNPC is buying from Dangote at 898 and it still has to sell to some marketers, or it still has to transport this product across the country, definitely there will be cost of logistics that would have to be factored in. So we can't say for now, not until the PMS is being dispensed at filling stations, we can't say what impact it will have on citizens right now. But I suspect that the costs might might still be as high as 900, 1,000 or 1,000 plus. And the government still has a role to play in terms of the stabilization of prices, such that there won't be that much hardship on the end users or end purchasers of PMS. I mean, the coming into production of the Dangote refinery will only be justified if there's a difference between what Dangote produces in terms of pricing and what is being sold at the pump stations, when compared to if the PMS was imported or purchased from international suppliers. For me, I think the winners, the immediate winners, I think are the government and also the Dangote refinery itself. The government in the sense that you can imagine if 25 million liters of PMS was to be purchased at international markets, that would probably cost about 10 to 12 million US dollars. So for the government, I think the government will be able to conserve hard-earned foreign exchange. And like I had earlier said, have more foreign exchange in its foreign reserves. For Dangote, I mean, this is a process that was long overdue, so to speak. They have been producing diesel, they have been producing aviation fuel, they have been producing kerosene. So the only product left in its production line was PMS, which has kicked off today.
Right.
But for the Nigerian citizens, we can't say confidently yet that they will still probably consider themselves as winners, because if Dangote is selling at 898 and it still has to sell to sub-marketers, and the sub-marketers will also have to put in their own profit margins and all, it will take the price of PMS to over 1,000 naira.
And with that being said, let me take you up on that price analysis. You're saying that we might buy the petrol for as high as 1,000 naira. You also mentioned stabilizing the price. By stabilizing the price, are you suggesting that the federal government looks into subsidizing these petroleum products, even as it said it will no longer go into fuel subsidy? What are your thoughts?
Well, we'll continue to plead with the government to continue to intervene in terms of the pricing. The government still has to subsidize, because that will justify the existence of refining the products locally here in Nigeria. I mean, the citizens are already complaining that buying at 897 per liter from NNPC is quite humongous, it's quite onerous, and they'll want the price to be reduced. So the government will continue to appeal to the government, to plead with the government to continue to intervene in the pricing, so that at least the citizens as well can enjoy the benefit of the production from Dangote refineries.
Yeah, and with that being said, what do you make of NNPC now being the sole off-taker of PMS as against the willing buyer, willing seller market drives? What do you make of this?
Well, maybe NNPC, even though they haven't said it, but maybe NNPC has come on board to be able to stabilize the prices, maybe in terms of having to subsidize the price, so to speak, so that it can be affordable to the citizenry. Ordinarily, one would have thought that there should have been an open field for all marketers to approach the Dangote refinery to also be off-takers as well. But in this instance, I think what the NNPC is trying to do is they're trying to stabilize the prices in terms of maybe the introduction of subsidies, so that the product is not outrightly overpriced from the reach of the citizens, basically. That's what I think they're trying to do anyway. But they haven't said that.
All right, finally, before I let you go, do you think this will guarantee energy security and finally see an end to fuel queues in petrol stations? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, even though the Minister of Finance has said it should ensure energy security. But from the interviews we've read, Dangote will only be supplying about 24 million liters per day. And from the available statistics, what Nigeria consumes right now is about 60 million liters per day. So there's a shortfall of about 35 million liters. So we wouldn't know if maybe when more refineries come on board, the security still be guaranteed, or maybe some independent marketers will still have to import to make up for the shortfall. So time will tell, basically.
All right, let's leave it as that. And thank you so much for bringing your thoughts to bear. Public Affairs Analyst Ahmed Akombi, thanks a lot.